chosen one. This moment is not a coincidence. It's a calling. If your eyes are on this message right now, it's because your spirit is ready for confirmation. You've been sensing the shift. You've been feeling the stretch. You've been walking through fire and wondering why it's been so intense, so relentless, so silent. But here's the truth. You're not being overlooked. You're being prepared. You are not ordinary. You are marked, chosen, called, positioned for something that doesn't just bless you, but transforms everything connected to you. And now, the heavens are stirring, because your next level isn't coming. It's already here. This message, it's not hype. It's not coincidence. It's not just motivation. It's a divine activation. It's the sign your soul has been waiting for. So take a breath, sit up, pay attention, because something sacred is about to break open in you. You didn't just survive, you evolved. And now, you're not stepping into reward. You're stepping into promotion. Let's go. Looking for purpose and peace. Hit subscribe and start the journey. Some of the strongest souls walk through seasons where no one claps, no one calls, and no one sees the cost. You moved through a time that didn't come with validation, applause, or public approval. And yet, you stayed the course. That quiet stretch of your life wasn't a detour. It was a design, a divine calibration happening behind the scenes, far from the spotlight, but seen by higher eyes. It wasn't just about holding on. It was about being refined. You weren't standing still. You were being fortified in places no one could see. The silence wasn't empty. It was sacred space where your strength was being built layer by layer. Every time life tried to unravel you, you chose intention over impulse. You responded with integrity when retaliation would have been easier. You gave when no one poured back. You held doors for others while wondering if any would open for you. When your heart is full of God's love, it's a sign to give. By tapping the super thank you button and offering $100 or more, you become a vessel of His grace. Your generosity can change lives, reaching hearts you may never meet. You have a divine purpose, and this act of faith carries His light forward. Give now, and may His blessings surround you always. But there's something holy about that stretch of unseen endurance. You didn't just survive hardship. You aligned with something deeper. You held yourself together, not for show, but for soul. You passed tests that had no witnesses and overcame pressure that tried to fracture your spirit in private. This wasn't just patience. This was preparation. You sacrificed comfort for clarity. You walked away from noise to preserve your alignment. You didn't chase spotlight opportunities that didn't resonate with your spirit. And those quiet refusals, those intentional no's, they didn't delay you. They matured you. While others sought platforms, you were being carved into someone who could carry legacy. Step beyond the screen, join, and help light the way for others. This wasn't punishment, this was precision. You weren't being sidelined, you were being sculpted. Your endurance wasn't for applause, it was to show you could hold what's coming. Because elevation isn't just about being seen, it's about being steady. And you've proven that even when everything feels uncertain, you remain unmoved in your truth. Now, what's ahead of you isn't just a breakthrough, it's a commissioning. Not because you performed, but because you surrendered. Not because you demanded attention, but because you stewarded silence with grace. The new path opening now is not random. It's not luck. It's the reward of alignment. It's the result of remaining loyal to your growth in the absence of external reward. Everything you released in that season, every comfort, every compromise, every temporary win that didn't match your soul, was not lost. It was invested. And now, the return is not small. What's unfolding isn't fleeting. It's foundational. It won't just elevate you. It will establish you. You didn't earn this moment through noise. You reached it through depth. Welcome to the phase where the unseen sacrifices begin to speak, where what you built in quiet begins to echo loudly. This is not a beginning shaped by effort. It's a beginning born of surrender. There's a certain discomfort that follows deep growth. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're no longer compatible with the environment that once felt familiar. That strange restlessness you feel isn't confusion, it's confirmation. What once fit perfectly now feels restrictive because you've expanded far beyond what that level can hold. You're not falling apart, you're transitioning. Mentally, emotionally, even spiritually, your internal architecture has been redesigned. The old roles don't fit anymore. The same conversations don't spark anything. What once challenged you now barely nudges your awareness. This isn't you becoming distant or inconsistent. This is evolution in motion, real, raw, unfiltered growth. The ground beneath you hasn't shifted randomly. It's responding to your elevation. Priorities are realigning. Your reactions are more intentional. Where you once needed validation, now you seek depth. Where you once sought comfort, now you crave truth. This shift is not shallow, it's cellular. You've outgrown the shell you once called home. And now, it begins to crack. You're not imagining it. Certain spaces feel heavier, not because they've changed, but because you have. Certain relationships start to dissolve, not from drama, but from destiny. The version of you that tolerated empty cycles has shed. Not out of arrogance, but from assignment. Not from superiority, but necessity. You can't carry old weight into a space that demands your wings. This transition can feel like loss, but it's actually alignment. You're not being pushed out, you're being pulled forward. The things slipping from your hands were never built for the road ahead. The silence around you isn't abandonment, it's sacred space for recalibration. You're being cleared of distractions so you can hear what's next. And yes, some things are unraveling, even the ones you thought were permanent. But that's not destruction, it's pruning. Growth isn't always about addition. Sometimes it's about subtraction, so that what truly matters can rise in clarity. What once energized your ego now drains your soul. That's because your leadership is emerging. Your calling is getting louder. Your spirit is done with shrinking. You're not stuck. You're being unrooted from where you no longer belong. The things that used to entertain you feel hollow. The circles that used to celebrate you feel foreign. The rituals that used to fulfill you now feel recycled. That's not rebellion. It's readiness. You are no longer seeking identity through applause. You've found purpose in stillness. You're not building for attention. You're building from alignment. And that's why things feel strange. It's the feeling of graduating from a level where you've stayed too long. The elevation you're walking into requires a lighter load, a clearer vision, and a stronger sense of self. Step beyond the screen. Join and help light the way for others. You didn't lose your way. You outgrew your cage. And now that your soul knows it, you can't return. You were never meant to plateau. You're wired for progression. This isn't the end. This is the momentum of maturity. What you leave behind isn't rejection, it's release. And what lies ahead is not just new, it's necessary. There are moments in life when you don't even realize you're being measured, not by others, but by something much higher. While you're just trying to breathe through the pressure, move with grace through confusion, or simply hold it together when everything feels out of rhythm. Your inner posture is being observed, not with judgment, but with deep intention. These aren't lessons handed to you with clarity or labeled with purpose. They arrive disguised as disappointment, wrapped in silence, cloaked in discomfort. The real tests? They come when you're not looking for them. They're buried in your everyday responses: how you treat people when you're tired, how you react when you're overlooked, how you respond when nothing goes your way. You're met with betrayal, not the cinematic kind, but the quiet stings, the ones that come from those you never imagined would falter. And yet, instead of retaliating or hardening your heart, you release. You don't let the bitterness settle, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because your soul deserves peace. You're met with indifference. You give, and it feels like it disappears into a void. You care, and it's returned with silence. And still, you don't let it define you. You continue forward, not because you're numb, but because you're rooted in something deeper than approval. When your heart is full of God's love, it's a sign to give. By tapping the super thank you button and offering $100 or more, you become a vessel of His grace. Your generosity can change lives, reaching hearts you may never meet. You have a divine purpose, and this act of faith carries His light forward. Give now, and may His blessings surround you always. And then there's the emptiness. No cheers, no confirmation, just the stillness of your own footsteps. You keep building, keep showing up, keep choosing kindness, without applause, without credit. That's where the weight of who you are is revealed, because you're not doing it for attention. You're doing it because it's who you are when no one's watching. The most sacred thing? You don't even know you're being watched. You're not performing. You're not staging your growth. You're just walking it out, one decision at a time. And that's exactly what sets you apart. Not perfection, but consistency. Not image, but truth. This elevation you feel stirring isn't a reward for pretending. It's the result of staying true when compromise felt easier. You were trusted with moments that could have changed you, but you chose not to change your character. You still gave, still hoped, still loved. That's what marks you. That's what moves unseen doors to open. Not because you demanded access, but because your heart made room for more before your life did. And now the shift begins. The unseen approvals have been stamped. The tests you passed without knowing, those have built a foundation for what's next. This isn't a coincidence. This is a response. Not to effort alone, but to alignment. You have proven that your integrity doesn't waver with applause, that your purpose doesn't bend under pressure. You've been faithful with what no one saw. Now comes the next layer, what was always waiting for your readiness. Your name is being mentioned in spaces you haven't entered. Your effort echoes louder than you imagined. And all of this is not by chance, it's by design. You didn't even know you were being tested, but heaven did. And now the release begins. There comes a time when what's being placed in your hands isn't about reward, it's about responsibility. You didn't arrive at this moment because you wished for it. You arrived because you withstood the pressure no one saw. You kept building in the silence, kept serving through the stretching, and kept believing when the outcome looked nothing like the promise. That's what prepared you. That's what qualified you. This isn't about titles. It's not about visibility, status, or praise. What you're walking into now is a deeper assignment, a sacred trust. The shift happening around you is not designed to elevate your image, but to activate your influence. You're not here to enjoy a higher view. You're here to carry a higher weight. What's unfolding isn't meant to entertain comfort. It's meant to carry impact. The world doesn't need more figureheads. It needs flame bearers. And that's what you've become. Through every season that refined your character, through every moment you chose principle over popularity. You were being built for this, not to flex, but to function. The expansion on your life now has very little to do with gain, and everything to do with giving. Not from obligation, but overflow. You've become someone who can be trusted with hearts, not just headlines, with broken places, not just bright lights. Because your transformation wasn't cosmetic, it was foundational. You didn't climb here by ambition. You were carved into this role by obedience, by choosing truth when lies were easier, by staying faithful when shortcuts called your name, by continuing forward when quitting made more sense. And that's why this elevation isn't a reward, it's a release. You're being assigned, not just advanced. This new ground isn't about arrival, it's about activation. You've been placed where you're needed most, where your insight will unlock breakthroughs, where your integrity will model what can't be faked, and where your presence will speak louder than your platform ever could. You shift environments simply by being aligned. Now more than ever, it's not about what you get, it's about what you give with intention. This is about legacy through action, about impact through authenticity, about lifting while leading. Because you're not just meant to succeed, you're meant to seed healing into others. Your path was never only yours, it was always a bridge. And yes, abundance will follow. But understand this, the increase is a resource, not the reward. The favor is real, but it's fuel, not the finish line. You're trusted with more because you no longer use it for validation. You use it for transformation. This is not the end of the journey. This is the beginning of a purpose that cannot be bought, copied, or stopped. You are not just moving up, you are stepping into place. And your place is not for applause, it's for alignment. What you carry now isn't for attention, it's for assignment. There's a rare kind of shift that happens not with fanfare, but with clarity. When something within you rises before the world even sees the change, you haven't been imagining it. That unsettled feeling, it's not confusion, it's the echo of internal alignment catching up to divine instruction. The moment your inner world realigned, something irreversible was set in motion. Even if nothing external looks different, the truth is, you're no longer where you once were. Not mentally, not emotionally, not spiritually. The discomfort you feel is the proof. You've already stepped beyond your former level. Your insight is sharper. Your peace is deeper. The places that used to nourish now feel barren. And the people who once fit like family now feel like distant echoes. That isn't failure. That's evidence. You've already been elevated, just not in the way the world counts it. There's been a transfer of weight in the unseen. Fresh clarity, new wisdom, increased discernment. And now, what once felt like home no longer fits your shape. The places that once sustained you now stretch thin. The rhythms you used to move to now feel too slow. You haven't lost your way. You've simply gained new direction. This in between, it's not punishment, it's preparation. You're standing between what's been confirmed in the spirit and what's yet to manifest in the visible. That tension is the sign of realignment. Heaven has already shifted things in your favor, and now the natural must bend to catch up. Don't misread the silence. It's not absence, it's setup. You're no longer fueled by external proof. You don't need titles to validate your identity. You don't chase rooms that don't know your name. You no longer beg for belonging in places you've outgrown. What's leaving your life is making space for what matches your maturity. You are not restless. You are being reintroduced to your next. This transition isn't meant to feel familiar. It's meant to stretch you, to prune what can't carry the weight of your calling. That's why old conversations feel shallow. That's why your spirit pulls back from the surface. You've been rerouted, not from rebellion, but from revelation. The foundation beneath you is being reinforced in secret, long before anyone applauds the result. And yes, it feels lonely sometimes, but this solitude is sacred. You are not hidden because you are forgotten. You are hidden because you are being formed. There's a greater work happening inside you than anything people can see. And that's the point. Heaven recognizes what hasn't yet been announced. So don't measure your season by what others understand. You walk by truth that isn't always visible. You move from a wisdom that others might misread. You've already been chosen. You've already been approved. Now, all that's left is for everything else to align with what's already been spoken over you. This isn't about appearance. This is about authority. And your presence will shift what titles never could. What's next is not coming to validate you. It's coming because you're ready to carry it. What's destined for you doesn't need your striving. It needs your staying. Stay grounded. Stay faithful. Stay clear. You're not waiting to rise. You already have. The rest of your life is simply catching up. Step beyond the screen. Join and help light the way for others. When your spirit rises, the atmosphere responds. You don't just shift seasons, you shift dimensions. And that kind of transformation doesn't go unnoticed. You've stepped into a new chapter, not just in your life, but in your authority. The difference now is you no longer wait for permission. You move with confirmation. You're no longer reaching, you've arrived. But with that rise comes resistance. Not because you're off track, but because you're on time. You're no longer carrying what you used to carry. You walk with weight now. Spiritual presence, inner clarity, unwavering direction. That's why the pressure feels different. You've been reassigned, and your posture proves it. You operate from clarity, not chaos, from vision, not reaction. And that's exactly why disruption shows up. It's not to destroy you, it's to distract you before your full impact manifests. Familiar patterns may resurface, not because you've regressed, but because your elevation triggers what once kept you bound. You're not battling backward, you're breaking forward. This is resistance on the level of destiny. And the closer you get to manifestation, the louder the noise becomes. But you've outgrown the need to explain your purpose to people or forces who can't grasp your assignment. When your heart is full of God's love, it's a sign to give. By tapping the super thank you button and offering $100 or more, you become a vessel of His grace. Your generosity can change lives, reaching hearts you may never meet. You have a divine purpose, and this act of faith carries His light forward. Give now, and may His blessings surround you always. This time is different. You're not trying to defend yourself. You're discerning. You're not hoping to be covered. You're already armed. You've been trusted with insight to see past the surface. You move in wisdom that reveals motives before words are even spoken. You don't engage every attack. You outlast them. Your growth has attracted attention, but you are not unprotected. What opposes you now cannot overpower what backs you up. There's been a change in your rank, even if your surroundings haven't caught up yet. You no longer beg for peace. You command it. You no longer shrink when challenged. You remain still in strength. And with this increase comes new stewardship. Your voice holds weight. Your presence shifts dynamics. What you carry has been refined, and that's why you can walk through conflict without being touched by confusion. This isn't about defense, it's about dominion. Don't misinterpret the resistance. It's confirmation, not condemnation. The interference is loud because your breakthrough is louder. Stay anchored, stay discerning, stay steady in the face of tactics designed to pull you off course. You no longer function as who you were. You now lead from who you've become. This elevation doesn't promise ease, but it does guarantee access, and access attracts attention. Not just from those who celebrate, but from forces that fear what you activate. But they can't reverse what's already been set in motion. You're not here to entertain the noise. You're here to enforce the purpose. You've been refined not for comfort, but for command. Your new level is not a reward. It's a release, a charge, a call to influence with integrity, to move with clarity, to rise with weight. And no matter what tries to rattle your peace, it cannot touch your position. This isn't just an increase in visibility. It's a spiritual shift in volume. You carry too much light to be dimmed now. Walk forward, not timidly, but intentionally. Because what stands against you now already knows it cannot win. You didn't just get promoted in status, you got positioned in authority. And the atmosphere knows it. Some victories come wrapped in silence, but this one will not. What's ahead isn't just for your reflection. It's going to be seen, heard, and felt. And not because you asked for a stage, but because your journey became one. You've been walking through fire without fanfare, building in the dark without credit, saying yes when no one was watching. And now, the shift arrives in full view. The elevation you're stepping into isn't random. It's not luck. It's the natural result of supernatural endurance. What looked like delay was design. What felt like isolation was initiation. And now, what's been cultivated privately is about to unfold publicly, not to entertain the crowd, but to fulfill a calling. You know the cost. You remember the weight of invisible battles, the fatigue of faith, held together by nothing but a whisper. You remember how many times you stayed when it made more sense to run, how many tears you buried so you could keep walking. You didn't just survive it. You kept your integrity through it. That's what makes this next step sacred. This moment may happen in front of others, but it was never for them. They will witness what heaven already settled long ago. They may be surprised, but you're not confused. You've been feeling the build internally for a long time. What they're seeing now is simply the fruit of roots no one paid attention to. Let it be known, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about proving points. It's about alignment. You are not being elevated because you chased recognition. You're being raised because you proved trustworthy in obscurity. You remained faithful when feedback was silence. You kept your posture when the pressure was crushing. You continued forward when validation never came. This isn't applause, it's assignment. You're not walking into ease, you're walking into evidence. You were refined for this, positioned for this, assigned for this. Not because you're flawless, but because you stayed available when it counted. And now, everything that once felt delayed is catching up, fast. But don't let the light distract you. Don't lose your footing in the noise. Stay rooted in what brought you here. Obedience over outcome. Purpose over platform. Humility over hype. Because this isn't the destination, it's the doorway. You've been trusted with visibility, but your assignment is still souls, still healing, still building what can't be bought.